And with that, we should be live. Welcome one and all to a random ass stream where we are going to be covering, co-streaming the pre-launch community update for Monster Hunter Wilds. They will be Capcom are going to be hosting a live stream with the community managers, and they will be showing off and discussing what has changed from the beta in a little bit of a short presentation, and we're going to react and give our 2 cents on it as well in this little video. But how's everyone doing? The show's about to start in about 20 minutes. So in the meantime, let's just put that up in the background. And there we go. But anyway, how's everyone doing this fine Thursday morning? You do have a good point there, Adon. But Adon, good to see you. Dragoon, how you been? Rick, I hope you're keeping well. And anyone else in chat? Yeah, I know this wasn't exactly planned, but then again, I only just noticed the tweet for this presentation from Capcom about maybe 4 hours ago, and it's like, oh, we got to do a video. Stream. Hang on, let me find it a second. The presentation premieres in 4 minutes, so they'll probably have a 4-minute countdown, 15-minute countdown. Sorry. How? Hey, Carl, how you doing? Oh, good. What's this? So yeah, this will kick off in a bit, and then we'll switch over to that. But in the meantime. Claus is coming to town, or as we say in the UK, Father Christmas. Father Christmas is coming to town. Hang on a minute, let me just see if this works a minute. Chat, let me know if this works or not. Okay, you're good, just finished your exams yesterday. Everyone's doing exams at the moment. Even sort of like, oh god, that's an ugly chat box. How do they make the chat box work on other streams? Let me do this. At least we'll make it look a little bit less ugly. There we go. There we go. It fits in a little bit now. Damn, I can't escape scuff no matter what platform I'm streaming on. But let me know if the audio is okay, guys. I don't want to screw this up like I normally do. I'm assured tomorrow is the first Christmas festival for Iceborne. Probably. I know it is reset day today, so if they are doing a seasonal event, it should come into play. The only thing is, if there is a current seasonal event going on at the moment, they may have a week with nothing, with like bare bones. But if it's bare bones at the moment, then we can expect a potentially Christmas event coming today. Tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow. Depending where you live in the world. So I just noticed something on in the module, and I was just wondering. But right, what are we on at the moment? 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go. The big thing about today, though, is there is rumors or rumblings going around that we will have a second beta, another demo. Whether it will be the existing demo we've already got to experience, but with the changes that they've made to the weapons, or if it's going to be a brand new one featuring the Scarlet Forest, because I know there has been a Scarlet Forest demo going around with journalists. we'll have to wait and see. For those of you who aren't aware as well, some of the weapons have been changed from what they were in the first beta. Namely, the Lance, Insect Glaive, and Switch Axe have been changed. The Insect Glaive, for example, Airborne Insect Glaive has made a return, so Aerial Insect Glaive is now a thing again, so that should make you Insect Glaive mains happy. I haven't seen all the changes because I didn't get to play test it per se, and I know it was kind of mainstream media who got to play the demo, the Scarlet Forest demo that had some changed aspects to the weapons, and you know, mainstream media sometimes don't go into the hyperfixation that we as fans do, shall we say. And so the little details may escape them, or they may just end up playing whatever the most popular or coolest weapon is. Anyway, is the audio okay, guys? Because we should be starting soon. Hey, Harley. Careful now, Harley. She's taken to jumping up behind the computer, behind the pink screen, and in doing so, she kind of sometimes knocks the cable. Am I losing frames? No, I'm not losing frames. Good. But yeah, no, I mean, I do wonder if we will... We're obviously going to have a launch trailer, but I wonder if game is a bit too loud. Thank you. Hang on, let me turn that back down again a second. I think I know why the game is a little bit loud. It's because I'm using desktop audio, which I don't normally use for these things, but unfortunately, the desktop audio is the only way I can really capture the game sounds from the... There we go. That should be bad. It looks like it's in the levels that I would normally have a gameplay sound going. But... more importantly, here we go. Right, now I can test the game sound levels for this. Although for this one we can actually just adjust it like this, so it makes it easier to adjust. Right. That should be better, and then when we boost it up to full screen, we should be good. But unfortunately, we have a 15-minute wait, as I suspected. Oh, bye, Harley. That's much better. Gotcha. But thanks, Rap, for pointing out the game sound stuff. Okay. Can you not control the audio in the browser as well? Probably yes, I could have. I just didn't think of it. It's already at 33% and it was already too loud. So I just used the mixer, the Windows mixer thing. The annoying thing is, this audio stuff, this only happens, I only have this issue with the audio when I am doing React stuff. That's why a lot of stuff gets turned off when we're doing React content or watch along stuff. Unless Darcblade gets some crazy abilities, I believe Radar will remain the more popular monster after launch. That is true. I mean, I guess it all depends on how it uses its whips. If the whips are flashy enough, I think that alone would make it cool and means that it doesn't have to rely on necessarily like a element like Radar and Lightning, Thunder. Like Nergigante was fantastic, and that he didn't rely on really any sort of element. Raid being in the beta will skew the popularity in its favour. There is that potential. I do wonder if Monster Hunter will stick to the tradition of adding their flagship to their flagship to a beta that we can test. That is going to be something that I'm curious about. If they do, then Arkveld may, come back in popularity, because at the moment Arkveld he's kind of, he's the poster boy, but we haven't really seen much about him or what he does and anything else. So it's I can see Ray Dow actually stealing the spotlight for a little bit, at least until we get our hands on the game and actually play through the story. Then things may be different. To be honest, I'm not impressed with Arkveld. To be fair, we haven't seen much of Arkveld, but there is basically zero hype behind the monster. Yeah, I think that's where I'm getting at as well. The hype, I am more hyped for some of the other monsters that have been shown off and teased, like, for example, what's her name? The big fat water leviathan, Uthuna, Raidal. Both of those being the kind of apexes of their areas, looks really, really good. Even Lala Barina as well. Lala Barina looks freaking fantastic. Hype for the chicken wing. So I think if they showed off some sort of like in-game combat with Arkveld, it might build up the hype a bit and alleviate those fears you have, Dragoon. That actually not just you, that a lot of us have. But it's exciting times. I'm just sorry I couldn't get the flipping chat thing working better. I hope it's not too distracting. That is like a basic chat window. I keep meaning to, following Moist Critical's advice, I'm looking to potentially stream on both YouTube and Twitch in the new year. Although the streams will be held on the Vicarian channel, which is advertised down to my wait, would it be your right? Yeah, my right, your left. Because that's where I stick all the junk that I don't know where to goes. Basically, if it's not a guide, if it's not a news information video or a review, it goes on that channel. I'm literally more hyped about the small bird wyverns with the hammerheads that got 2 seconds of screen time than you are about Arkveld. Yeah, I know you were hyped up about those little small monsters because they seem to have the same sort of like slime residue that Brachydios had, indicating that we may have Brachy eventually, maybe not in the the first iteration of Wild, but maybe in its expansion. But no, I do apologise to everyone who has been wondering, which I could use this as a time to address it. I am sorry for the lack of Monster Hunter content at the moment. I haven't really. I'm pretty much. I don't want to say I'm done with Monster Hunter World, because there is one more project I will be doing before Monster Hunter Wilds with Monster Hunter Worlds, which we'll talk about in another video. But it's to do with the hashtag just one more. The guides and builds, though, are pretty much done, although I may do one more guide as a farewell, which is a Fatalis guide, even though it's not really needed anymore. It'd be nice to. It's just one of the guides that I failed to make, and I feel bad for doing so. So it's kind of like it's a personal project of mine to get it done as well. Even if people don't use it or don't need it anymore, which is probably the case, it's still there and it's still part of the collection of Monster Hunter videos on the channel. But yeah, another main reason why there hasn't been much Monster Hunter content on the channel is because I am covering Monster Hunter Wilds news whenever it comes around, but also because I don't want to burn out on Monster Hunter in general before the release, because when the release comes I will be going at this hard. So in the meantime, I've been covering my other passion projects like Space Marine 2, trying to get all the builds done for that before Monster Hunter Wilds comes out, so they can line up nicely with one another. Because come February, end of February, this is going to be I hope my body can. My body is not ready. I hope my body can actually cope with the demand and this sheer amount of ideas floating around my head. I know as I'm getting older, and for those of you who do know, I do have a plethora of health conditions, to which I've just found out I've got another one. And it's not for lack of sun, but I have a vitamin D deficiency, which is the reason why I am experiencing joint and arthritic-esque pains. Yeah, that's so more injections and stuff, and so you can get a lot of D from the food and diet, as well as obviously the sun. But because for those of you not aware, I have had multiple operations, and I have like only about half my intestines left. I don't absorb stuff very well. So as well as the anemia, we now got vitamin D to add to the collection. Have you been getting the shots to counter the anemia and the vitamin B12 deficiencies? Yeah, I've been getting shots every 3 months, and they've been thinking about increasing it to every 2 months, because that is going to be one of the other issues for Monster Hunter Wilds, is the energy levels, and not having the energy to make said videos. But and I know it sounds silly in a way, and almost entitled, but also to actually play through the game. At the moment, some games like I love Space Marine 2, but after about 4 operations, I'm exhausted. Are you prepping some build? I am prepping some. What I'm doing is what I do. It's one of the reasons the Space Marine videos took so long to come out, the Space Marine guides, because I needed to craft and create a template, and that takes the longest. And so what I'll be doing over January and February is preparing. Well, I've started to prepare it a little bit now. Like I've got a new introduction kind of stinger for when the video starts. You can see it in some of the Space Marine videos, but it is inspired by Monster Hunter stuff. I'm preparing a template for the builds now, in preparation for when we actually get to Monster Hunter Wilds. I can start throwing out the builds, starting with the 4 set beginner builds. So, like I did for Monster Hunter World, we will be covering builds that are attributed to 4 sets of armor that can benefit one specific weapon. So, for example, say, going back to Monster Hunter World, like the Bambaro set was actually quite useful for certain weapons, like the Chargeblade. No, not Chargeblade, the Lance, for example, because of its guarding capabilities. Whilst the Dodogama full armor set was good for the Gun Lance and Chargeblades, thanks to capacity boost and artillery. So instead of spending time farming loads of low-level monsters over and over again, just focus on one, get its full armor set, and it should carry you through to mid-game, maybe even end-game. That's the first set of builds that will be going out. They won't be too super complex, but they should help in the long run. We'll also be preparing, obviously, some extra guides, some beginner guides, which some of you may recognize, if that makes sense. No, it starts on the hour, Carl. On the hour. No worries. I hope you're keeping well. But yeah, we are also going to be doing some guides that may seem familiar, but they are designed. I'm going to be covering some stuff that you already know for new players, like, for example, explaining what affinity is and how affinity works, explaining how to pet the Poogie if the Poogie's in the game, how to do this, how to do that, some basic beginner stuff that you guys, I think, will probably already know, but we are expecting an influx of new players to the community. And yeah, they Monster Hunter, even with Monster Hunter Wilds, the tutorials have never been super clear, shall we say. And so it gives people like myself and other guide makers something to do, to be useful, to put their editing skills to the work and stuff. and to potentially even entertain. Okay, so when Wilds comes out, you only need to do specific bits of all of all the videos. It's like, hey Lubu, how you doing? I hope you're keeping well. Oh god, that Lubu fighting. Oh, I forgot I'm doing Dynasty Warriors in January, but that's just going to be a stream thing. I'm not making guides on that. Sorry, Lubu just reminded me of it. But I hope you're keeping well. I hope you're keeping well. Now, when it comes to when Wilds comes out, apart from a few specific guides, I may also be trying to rope in help when it comes to certain aspects. Like I know I've already sort of like roped in one or two people who, let's just say, they specialize and they enjoy the endemic life aspect of Monster Hunter. So they're gonna go. They're gonna try to. They're on the hunt for rare endemic life, and they will either report back to me or even share footage with me. To which, I'm probably going to ask the community on Discord if they want to help out. There's probably stuff we can do, even if it's just joining me for hunts and farming. I know we're going to be streaming a lot of the. We might even do a marathon stream. 24 hours? Do you think we can handle that? Do you think we could do that? Maybe we should just push for 12 to start off with. 12-hour launch stream. Yeah, honestly, Dynasty Warriors Origins looks so good, and it feels so much better than the button mashing of a Dynasty Warriors. I need to put that video up on the Echo Vicarian channel. The Origins demo was the Lubu fight was a highlight. It was like playing the Souls game. It was great. So yeah, we got Dynasty Warriors in January. Whilst we finish off Space Marine videos and prepare for Monster Hunter in February. Small steps. But yeah, like I said, I hope my health is the biggest concern I have in regards to covering Monster Hunter Wilds, and I just hope that it holds up. That's another reason why I've asked for a little bit of health. We've already pre-ordered the still. I need to get the steelbook. I haven't pre-ordered it yet because of position of privilege, shall we say? So we'll have to wait and see if that position comes through, shall we say. I'm on good terms with Capcom, and I've managed to get review copies for some other games of theirs, so that, especially given that if you look how much content we've made for Monster Hunter over the years, maybe they'll shine a light on us. But anyway, showtime, everyone. Again, let me know if it's too quiet.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Monster Hunter Wilds pre-launch community update. My name's Jono, EME Community Manager on Monster Hunter. Hey everybody,
hello, Jono.
I'm Joe. I'm the Capcom USA Community Manager on Monster Hunter. And welcome to our broadcast, which for the very first time will be bilingual in English and Japanese, which is a brand new concept for us. So we hope you enjoy it. And you'll probably not be surprised to find out why we're having it in English and Japanese, because as you can see, we have two very special guests with us. We have Monster Hunter Wilds director Yuya Tokuda, as well as Patrick from Capcom Europe, who will be translating for us.
He was at Gamescom translating.
Oh, it's great to have you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Now, Joe, we've introduced our esteemed guests. We've said hello, but why are we here today?
Yeah, today is a really special stream. Again, we have some special guests here joining us, and we would like to share a sincere thank you to everybody out there who participated in the open beta test that we held at the end of October. And today we're going to be spending some time talking about how a lot of the feedback from that open beta has influenced the development of the main game. So just to kind of recap, the open beta was held with a couple of goals. The first, I think the most obvious one is we were able to give everybody a chance to play the game. It's a new hunting experience, new game, and it was great seeing everybody's responses. But the second part of that was really to test the different technology that's in the game, things like network load and game operation. So it was really great to see everybody's feedback and responses, but the team has really been working on the full game separately and making a lot of improvements and adjustments. And again, we just want to share thanks to everybody for sharing your feedback either through social media, our official survey, or through different places
I do
online.
feel a little bit bad that I didn't really make more feedback videos.
Covered some known issues and things that we
one of my main issues
to address in the final
still
is
a
lot of the feedback actually covered some bugs and things that the team was not aware of or didn't intend to fix. So it was extremely helpful. And some of those fixes and adjustments are now prioritized for the final game, thanks to your feedback. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today. Jono, we actually had a round of previews go live recently, right? And that actually had some details that we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the community response to that was fantastic. So if you have seen the previews, you will recognize some of the content in today's broadcast, but there is so much more. And on top of that as well, this stream is an opportunity for the development team to speak directly to you, to introduce even more and clarify what you may have seen in the previews as well. But please do keep in mind that this isn't fully
definitely. I hope the frame rate has improved across the board. I know there were technical issues with the PC version as well, but the frame rate on PC and especially Xbox Series X was lacking a little bit. So I'm hoping that is the case and they've improved it. Hey Selen, how you doing? I hope you're keeping well. I know they've added hit stop to animations as well, which is great and should make the weapons feel more weighty.
What would you like to say to everyone before we get stuck in?
はい、最初に徳田さんから自己紹介やコメントをお願いします。
はい、モンスターハンターワイルズディレクターの徳田優です。今日はこのような場を設けていただきありがとうございます。僕はモンスターハンター G から20年間、モンスターハンターを作り続けております。今日はよろしくお願いします。
Hello everyone, I'm Yuya Tokuda, the director of Monster Hunter Wilds. It's really nice to be here with you guys today. It's a good opportunity to speak to you directly. I've been working on the Monster Hunter series for
I think it should run better. I think it should run better. I think the beta was also a good stress test for them for the stuff under the hood. Not only in terms of network and crossplay, but like you said, for performance overall.
Honestly, it was the response was overwhelming. We saw just a huge variety of responses and feedback and just people enjoying it and also sharing what they thought.
It should fit the hammer. It did feel good and it should feel even better now with the hit stop and stuff.
Your initial impressions were seeing all the different reactions to the beta.
オープンベータテストの、ユーザーの反応への徳田さんの反応について教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい、まず本当にたくさんの方にご参加いただき、ありがとうございました。クロスプレイのマッチングサーバーにもし問題があった場合に、修正期間を取るために、モンスターハンターワールドのオープンベータテストよりも1ヶ月早く、開催したんですけれども、おかげさまで大きなサーバートラブルもなく
I really wish I could speak Japanese or understand it. I can make out a few words and that's it.
First of all, to all the many players around the world who took part in the beta, it was a very useful experience for us. You may have realized that the timeline was even earlier on this beta than the one we had from Monster Hunter World back in the day. It was about a month earlier before launch. The reason we had this one earlier was because of the addition of crossplay to Monster Hunter Wilds. That new system meant that we really wanted to make sure we had enough time to fix any issues that might have arisen with crossplay and matchmaking on the servers. But fortunately, we were able to get through the open beta test without any significant hitches in that area.
Yeah, the crossplay felt really
皆
good.
さんの、楽しかっただったりだとか、もっとこうだったらよかったなみたいな、声を勝手にして
Yeah, the crossplay, there was some teething problem, of course, but for the most part, I didn't experience much teething issues with
Of
the
course, it wasn't
crossplay.
just about technical confirmation. It was also great to just see everyone's feedback, hearing all the players say how fun it was to play the game. And of course, your wishes and requests for things that you weren't enjoying quite as much about it. It was all such valuable feedback, and it's been great motivation for us to just finish the full game and make it even better. So thank you again for that.
Yeah, it really was a fantastic opportunity for everyone and for us to get some great learnings and observations too. And obviously, we've mentioned the open beta and what you thought about that. What were your thoughts, Tokuda-san, on the recently published previews and interviews we've seen from press from around the globe?
はい、先日メディアのプレビューも公開されていると思うんですけど、徳田さんは確認されてますか？いかがでしたでしょうか？
Hey, Two-Inks. Yes, this is still live. We're not far into it. It started about 6 minutes ago.
ベテランさんまで、すごく幅広い層の、ライターさんが、大阪に来てくださって、OBT からの改善点はもちろんですけど、ゲーム作品としてそもそもどうなのかだったりだとか、部分についてですね、とても楽しんで、ポジティブなレビューをたくさんくださったので、まずとても嬉しかったです。
Yeah, that was a really great experience. We had journalists from all over the world come and join us in Osaka, and it was a real range of people in terms of Monster Hunter play experience. Some of them were veteran hunters like yourselves, some of them were more on the beginner side, and getting to see their positive preview impressions was really exciting for me, because not just in terms of getting the news out there about improvements that have been made since the open beta test in the version they played, but their take on the game as a whole. That was something that it was really fun for me to see, especially because it was very positive.
もうこれだけできてるんだったらもう大阪から帰りたくないみたいなことを言うメディアの方もいらっしゃいました。興味ある方はぜひ記事とか動画とかもチェックしてみてください。
Some of them were having so much fun and they said the game felt so finished already. They just didn't want to leave Osaka. They wanted to stay there and keep playing it for a long time. But unfortunately, we had to release them from the office. But yeah, if anyone hasn't checked out those preview impressions already, I'd encourage you to take a look, because they were really great to see.
はい、で
Yeah,
はそ
I
れでは
agree.
ここからは
Crossplay is crossplay.
所長から
It's
説明
needed.
があった通り
It's needed now. It's a
先にまで調
necessity,
整
I
される
think,
内
for
容
modern
と
gaming.
OBT から変更される内容について、ユーザーの皆様にお知らせしたいと思います。
So yeah, as you guys, Joe and Jono, both mentioned earlier, today is a chance for me to talk directly to the community about some adjustments that me and the team are making to the game based on all the valuable feedback we got from you players about the open beta test.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. I think we have a lot to cover today. So let's start with our first topic. Our first topic is performance. So during the open beta test, which was actually running on an earlier version of the game that's different from the internal version that the team is working on, we actually mentioned that the final release will have improved performance over the open beta test. So Takuda-san, could you walk us
That's
through
really
how
good
the
to
team
hear
is
that
improving performance
the
with the full version?
performance is going to be
はい、
vastly
最初に
superior
製品
to
版
the
で
beta.
目標にしているパフォーマンスについて
I assume this means not
教えて
only
もらえる
for
と思い
technical
ます
side
の
of,
でお願いします
of the PC version and falling
は
through
い
the floor,
ま
but
ず
also at
実物を
frame
見
rates
て
and
いただく
such.
のが一番分かりやすいと思いますので、まだ最終バージョンではないんですけど、
Also, I don't think we're going to have 8-bit Monster Hunter on PC anymore as
お
well.
持ちしたので、ご覧ください。
Yeah, we've got some slides with some details coming up, but I think first of all, I really want you guys to just get your eyes on a gameplay video to understand where the performance is at. So I've prepared a video that's running on PlayStation 5 in prioritized performance mode. It's not the final version of the game, but it's a more up-to-date version than the one you would have played in the OBT. So let's take a look at that now.
Oh, I hope this is 60 FPS. If this is 60 FPS, it looks more vibrant already. No, that's pre... Is this the old footage, or is this... No, this is running in performance mode. It looks more vibrant already. Yeah, I'll be on...
はい、
I'm not gonna- I'm
こ
gonna
のよう
mess
に、
around with that.
OBT の時よりも綺麗なグラフィックで、60フレーム近くでプレイできる状態になっています。
Okay, prioritize graphics for
hopefully
it. Oh,
give you an impression
okay,
of
I don't
how
have to
much
worry
better the
about
game is
upgrading the
looking already
PC. I can
since
get
the
it on
OBT.
PlayStation
It's,
5.
it's
And
running
just
at
priorities,
almost the target of 60
prioritize
frames per second, so
really good.
looking great, I think.
はい、改めまして目標としているスペックですけれども、PS5 の解像度優先モードでは、4K30fps で安定してプレイできることをターゲットにしています。
So as per the slide we have here, just to talk you through the target numbers that we have on the PlayStation 5 in the
Yeah,
prioritized
for
graphics
me,
mode, we're running
when
at,
it comes to making
render
videos,
output of
I always
4K
try to
with a
prioritize
targeted
getting
frame rate of
60
30 frames a
FPS.
second.
So
フレー
otherwise,
ムレート優先モードでは、レータリング解
anyway,
像度は異なります
this just means that I could get it on
が
PS5 and I don't necessarily
遊べるように
have to worry about
ターゲットしてい
upgrading the
ます
PC or if it runs on
And for
PC.
prioritized frame
Well, I'll be
rate,
getting
that
a new-
brings
no,
the
I'm not gonna
rendering
get a PlayStation
resolution
Pro.
down, as you can see, but then the target
Fixing the
frame
rendering
rate
bug,
gets to
prioritized.
60 frames a second.
Okay, alright, so I'm talking over them.
OBT では目標のフレームレートに出ていなかった上にですね、フレームレート優先モードでは描画の不具合がありまして、髪の毛とか、羽毛のような表示の時に、ジャギーのような
It does put a note saying frame rate may drop in some high load area situations, but I think that is the same regardless of what
先ほどご覧
system
いた
you're
だき
on.
ましたように製品版の方ではフレームレート含めて改善していますので、ご安心ください。
So the target frame rate that we have here was not being achieved in the OBT build. To be honest, it was an earlier version that wasn't quite as optimized. And there were also some rendering issues with the graphics when using frame priority mode, the prioritized frame rate. A lot of players reported seeing jagged edges on elements such
That
as
is so. I remember so many people were reporting saying, "Oh, it's not 60 FPS. It's trash on consoles." And now that this is just refreshing news and reassuring news that they are going for 60 FPS on consoles as well. I assume Xbox will be similar.
発売時の Day1 パッチにて、対応を予定しています。PlayStation 5 Pro でのゲームプレイは、グラフィック表現がより強化、を予定しておりまして、詳細については今後の情報をお待ちください。
Also, just one thing to confirm is that PlayStation 5 Pro enhanced support is incoming, and it'll be ready with the Day 1 patch on release day of the title next year. That's going to enhance the graphics for PlayStation 5 Pro users, so please stay tuned for more details on that as we get closer to launch.
はい、Xbox シリーズ X と、シリーズ S につきましても、
Xbox is actually 30 FPS, and Steam varies depending on your hardware. But that's to be expected on Steam.
Xbox Series X and Series S, we're aiming at similar improvements over the OBT compared to what I just described for the PlayStation 5 as per the slide.
Steam 版でもご利用の環境設定によって変動はありますけれども、パフォーマンスの向上について、同様に取り組んでおりまして。
T-Winks, they haven't announced a second beta yet. I don't know where you're getting that from unless you're further on in the video or something.
It varies greatly depending on your own personal rig, your hardware, and the settings you have set up. But we are working on improving the performance of that too. And the frame rate and other performance you can expect from the same equipment you might have used in the OBT will be improved for the full version of the game. So please wait a little longer to get a chance to experience that.
あとこれは本当におとつい聞いた最新の情報なんですけれども、推奨スペックとしてご案内しているグラフィックボードについてももう少し下げられる、可能性が、出てきております。正確な情報が、固まり次第公式サイトなどで、アナウンスさせていただきます。
This is actually something that I've literally just confirmed with the team yesterday or the day before, so it's very hot off the press news, but we're looking at hopefully lowering the level of the minimum recommended graphics board specs to allow more players with that level of hardware to play the game. The final details are still being worked on, so I can't share more today, but again, stay tuned to our official channels on our website, and we'll hopefully get more details about that out soon.
That is really, really cool. Joe and I can both attest that following the OBT, performance was an important topic for the community across all platforms. So it's really, really cool to be able to share the performance and visual improvements for all versions and platforms of the game across the board. So thank you for that, Guda-san. One little question though, because we did see some members of the community, particularly on PC, concerned whether or not they had a powerful enough hardware or rig to run the game on PC. Especially seeing, out there's such a wide range of hardware amongst the gaming community. So is there anything the team are thinking of or looking at doing to help players on PC determine if their rig will run on Monster Wild?
チームユーザーはそれぞれのプレイヤーがさまざまな環境で遊んでいると思いますけれども、発売前に自分の環境で、期待できるパフォーマンスを確認したいユーザーがたくさんいると思うんですけど、何かしら対策を考えたりしますでしょうか？
はい、さまざまな改善とか最適化が進んでいる中でですね、その製品版の環境でご自身の機材がどのように機能するかというのは、発売前に知りたいというのは、非常によく、分かっております。現在そうした方に向けてベンチマークソフトをご用意できないか、検討しています。できるできないや時期など決定しましたらまたお知らせいたします。
Yeah, I totally understand the PC players on Steam really want to know before launch if their rig is going to be giving them the performance that they want.
If I was to still play it or get it on PC, I would need to do some sort of upgrade, I think, in terms of not only do I...
And that'll let you more directly check how your PC hardware is going to run the game. So
that's good. They're releasing a benchmark for Steam to allow you to test to see if you can run it or not.
We'll release further details on that.
The annoying thing is with me, when it comes to streaming, I have to see if I can run it alongside all of this other bells and whistles, like the VTuber model and stuff.
On a potential benchmark tool, and overall, those are some really great updates on performance.
But the benchmarks come in later.
Some of the gameplay-specific adjustments to either weapon actions and the overall hunting experience. And I think both Jono and I know that one of the biggest topics and concerns from the community were changes to hit stop and the overall impact of weapons. And this was really something that we saw.
Hit stop was something I was actually hoping for.
Different weapons. In our recent round of previews, we actually did confirm that there were some improvements made to this area.
Hit stop basically makes weapons feel more weighty in that because it's an animation that causes your hunter to sort of like almost stop and pause when they hit a monster or take a hit from a monster, and it gives the impression that the attack has more weight behind it than it actually does. It's an animation thing, but it should make the game feel better because Monster Hunter World has it, Monster Hunter Rise doesn't have it, or it partially has it, I think, and there wasn't any of it in the World's beta. Anyway, adjustment of hit stops down, adjustment of hit stop, the sound effects, adjusting attacks to feel more weighty and impactful with a focus on big moves and finishers, mitigation of friendly fire has already been mitigated for most weapons. The full version also includes further mitigation of friendly fire. Players will also be able to use the shockproof duel to nullify damage reaction. Shockproof duel is back, chaps.
So when it comes to making those weapons feel more weighty and impactful in terms of hit stop and sound effects, we are planning to make further adjustments in the full version of the game in that area.
一つの例として、調整後の体験の新ため切りの
Although I still felt that the shockproof duel was a little bit of a crutch in some places.
We can show in a second, which shows you the true charged slash of the greatsword, and that's how it looks after these adjustments have been made.
You've upgraded your
finishers feel.
Oh, you've upgraded it. Yeah, no, I think upgrading it as much as you can is good. So on the big hits, you should have that hit stop where your hunter pauses almost. So on this, it should go like stop. It's only very subtle. It's only very subtle.
はい、体験実は新ため切りダメージ量の方も、増やしてます。ダメージ量限らずですけど。
I think Nurkagante will eventually come back, but I don't think it will be in the initial launch. It'll be either in an update or the expansion.
音についても調整してますので、トータルでヒット感は。
Training room confirmed.
So that move that we just saw, the true charge slash, has also actually had its damage output increased. But even for moves where I haven't changed the damage output, I've heard you guys on things like hit stop, on sound effects. How the moves feel to actually use. So those kind of adjustments are being made, not just on the greatsword. I use it as an example here because it's kind of easy to understand, but across the board on all weapon types.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
はい、ヒットストップに関してはですね、モンスターハンターワールドをリリースした当初には、海外のユーザーを中心に、ヒットストップが強すぎるとか、重すぎるみたいなご意見をすごくいただいたんですけれども、今回モンスターハンターワイルズのオープンベータですと逆に弱いというご意見もたくさんいただきまして、モンスターハンターの持ち味であるこの、重みのあるアクションという感覚が世界中の方に受け入れられ始めているんだなということも感じまして、感慨深くもありました。
It was really interesting actually for me to receive this feedback on the beta. I'm thinking back to Monster Hunter World, which I also worked on, and back then there was a lot of player feedback, especially outside Japan, where players felt that the game was actually too weighty, that the animations were too slow, and that's completely the opposite of what we heard this time, where people were saying the WILDS OPT, everything felt a bit too light and floaty and weaker. So I'm taking that as a positive.
No one's ever freaking satisfied. I thought World was fine.
Monster Hunter WILDS OBT. Players around the world have gotten used to that meaty, weighty hit stop action that is kind of one of the hallmarks of Monster Hunter. So knowing that they've accepted that and they wanted it back based on the OBT is actually something that I think is really interesting, and also it's really nice for me to hear.
By the way, when they say OBT, they mean open beta
really,
test.
Really cool. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing those meaty chops and big bonks come February. And obviously, you know, we've spoken about how weapon interactions with monsters have been adjusted, but we're also looking at friendly fire and how that works, right? I understand that this was actually something as well that the team were looking into and considering before the open beta test went live.
はい、フレンドリーファイアの機能について、確かにオープンベータテスト、配信前からも検討されていたと聞いてるんですけど、こちらは OBT を受けてどのような調整を予定しているのでしょうか。
はい、ゲームズコーンや TGS の、私有ロムでは、ガランスの流撃法などによって、仲間が吹っ飛ばされる、いわゆるフレンドリーファイアがありましたけれども、OBT のタイミングでは多くの武器でそれらを緩和しました。
Yeah, this is something that, as you said, before even the OBT came out, we had our first playable globally at Gamescom earlier in the year. Then we had Tokyo Game Show. And the adjustments that we started to make for Friendly Fire were already present in those builds. So, for example, the Wyvern Fire of the gun lance is something that we'd already toned down.
I don't mean to talk over them and that, but and I love how I go quiet when they're Tokuda's talking, but I talk over the translation. But no, I think people realised how floaty it could be with the less hit stop in Rise, and they're like, no, we prefer the weighty stuff. And yeah, I also agree with when it comes to the monsters, I'd love to see all the monsters return, but ultimately I think and feel that when you add returning monsters, it takes away from the new monsters that they've created and introduced.
実装されました、ダメージリアクションを無効化するこの干渉銃、といった装飾品も実装予定です。
And just to mention as well, something that wouldn't have applied during the OBT, but the shockproof jewel, which you might remember from recently Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, is going to be in the full game, and that will further help you nullify those damage reactions.
の調整後のハンマーの勝ち上げの動画も持ってきましたので、ご覧ください。
I've got another video with me today, so if we can please show that, then you should get an idea of how the hammer upswing looks after these adjustments have been made.
They're going to show off the hammer. Hammer upswing. Wait, does this mean we can't catapult people into the skies anymore? No, it doesn't look like we can. I think there may be some feedback
really
to
great
that.
At kind of showing
because
side by side
sometimes, in some rare occasions,
there, so,
getting launched into the air allowed for mounted attacks.
Fire, this is one of those changes where,
but then again, there's so many ways to mount a monster now that I don't think it's that big a deal.
That may impact. So, Takuda-san, can you talk a little bit more about the intention behind making this change?
Friendly fire.
Oh yeah, you. I was going to say you. The delayed upswing was in the open beta test. I remember doing a. I didn't bring out a video on it, but I covered it in a live stream. It allows you to perform a counter, an offset attack as well by holding it. And if you release it at the right time, it counters a monster's attack. It's really fun. It's really fun. Makes the hammer really good.
この範囲を結構思い切って広げたんですけど、この範囲で、ぶっ飛ばしを残してしまうと、マルチプレイですごく大きな、支障になってしまいます。
Yeah, I know what you mean, because friendly fire is one of those features I think some players enjoy, the bit of the chaos, and they might find it disappointing to hear that it's being reduced, but it's all part of my overall balancing sort of approach. So to take the Gunlance Wyvern Fire as an example, the range of that attack has actually been greatly expanded with Monster Hunter Wilds, and that meant that just the sheer range at which friendly fire could occur was kind of becoming something of a hindrance to having an effective multiplayer hunt.
It looks like that might be the case there, Dragoon.
ルールを理解しているプレイヤー同士なら楽しく感じていただける要素にもなり得るんですけれども、クロスプレイだったり、救難信号によって、
I think the sacrifice of removing being launched by other players, but at the same time eliminating or reducing being tripped by other players is a trade-off I'm willing to accept. There are multiple ways you can still mount monsters anyway.
避けたいと考えて、今回、こうした実装をしております。
I think that kind of scrappy, chaotic feel that you get from friendly fire is something that players who understand it and they know how to avoid it or when it's going to happen, those people can have an understanding with each other and enjoy that. But we've now got crossplay and we've got a wider range than ever of experience levels of hunters joining the game. And I wanted
the friendly fire has been reduced for newer players and for a wider audience, it definitely seems.
would mean that maybe less experience.
The hammer, it didn't feel more complex necessarily, but it does feel a little bit different.
Why it's happening and not find that enjoyable, and then they'd end up avoiding going online and playing multiplayer with other players. So it's really part of my intention to make sure that everyone can enjoy multiplayer together, and that meant making the decision on how to adjust friendly fire.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's making it more approachable for new players and less frustrating for experienced players who are playing alongside these new players.
I do understand. I see both sides of the coins, but I know certain Monster Hunter players can get a little bit, I don't want to say elitist.
Was that during the open beta test, they felt that monsters move locations way more often than they expected. Was this intentional?
Right, the adjustment of monsters moving areas has been reduced. Players will also be able to use the pop-up camps to fast travel in the full version. Good. Yeah, the monsters did move quite often. I assume they were moving quite often because we were knocking their health down quite quickly. And I know when certain thresholds meet, they would move. When certain health thresholds were met, they would move.
Yeah, the actual truth is that there was a bit of a bug or glitch in the open beta test build, which meant that monsters were moving between areas more frequently than we intended. So the behavior you guys noticed in the open beta test build isn't something that was finally fully adjusted to where we wanted it to be.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you got to miss out on the first open test beta. Maybe there might be a second one. Fingers crossed.
So we've worked on that since the open beta test build was created, and the final version should be more close in feeling to Monster Hunter World in terms of how often you feel the monsters are moving around.
That's good. That's good.
Got it. Yeah. So even though that the amount of frequency that a monster might move locations has been toned down a little bit, sometimes a monster moving locations significantly is kind of like a way of expressing its personality. So are there still some situations where a monster might move significantly?
それでも製品版ではエリア
Not 100% sure what he
間
means
の
by
移
that.
動をする場合があると理解していいんですね。
Does he move in
もちろん
locations or movement in
モン
general?
スターがフィールドの中でどんどんこう移動していって、それを追い詰めていってハンティングするというのはモンスターハンターの、醍醐味の一つでもありますので、モンスターは移動していきます。
Yeah, that's right. It's one of the sort of key features of Monster Hunter is that you're chasing these monsters around these vast environments. So it's not like they're never going to move anywhere and you're just going to be stuck in one place to hunt them. You're still going to have that feeling of the chase where they move between different parts of the field as the hunt progresses.
またですね、特に
I hope that is the thing you guys are talking about monsters, certain monsters appearing once a week and stuff like that. If they do event quests, I hope they do it that way again. It gives us reason to log back in every week, rather than like what they did with Rise, where once you got it, you can just take on an event quest whenever. I preferred the Monster Hunter World way of doing it. It gave us a reason to log back in every week because there might be a monster or a specific hunt that we don't really normally get to play on demand unless it's actually here during the week of its event quest, and then a rotation occurs because of that. And I think Rajang will probably return, but again, I think it will either be via an update or it will be in the expansion.
And they're doing the thing where they limp back to their nest to try and recover. That's still going to be an occasion where you're going to have some ground to cover in order to chase them and find them again.
そうした場合はですね、その狩りたいモンスターの生息域だったり移動ルートに合わせた場所に簡易キャンプを立てて、ファストトラベルなどを使って先回りするような、使い方というのもすごく有効になります。
I would recommend when that happens in the full game that you can actually use the pop-up camp feature to its fullest. So if you're aware of where a particular monster's nest is going to be in the map, and if it's quite a distance from other areas, you can go ahead and sort of do a recce and scout it out and put a pop-up camp there in advance.
That's good that you can teleport between the pop-up camps. It's going to make fast travel a lot easier. Yeah, I would say let the new monsters have the spotlight, at least for the initial launch. Updates we'll see. And the Rajang in Monster Hunter Rise was a joke compared to World. So
juicy changes. We've been getting stuck straight in. So let's kind of move over to adjustments to something that's really important and helps really define a hunter's identity in game, and that we're all very passionate about, our weapons. So we know many
Weapon
people are really
balance time.
interested in this. Takura-san, in our recent previews, the team showed off some changes to the Insect Glaive. But that's not the only weapon. Multiple weapons have received adjustments, but a few in particular, like the aforementioned Insect Glaive, have received the most attention, right?
They brought back Aerial Insect Glaive. I know people were so upset that Aerial Insect Glaive was gone, but I think they brought it back. I think the Lance and the Switch Axe also received quite major changes as well.
入ってるというふうにコメントいただいていると思うんですけど、こちらについてもう少し詳細に教えてもらえますでしょうか。
Whether they show them off, though, is another question. I assume he will show them off.
については製品版とかなり違いを感じられるような、武器種になっています。それらを中心に調整内容をご紹介できればと思います。
Yeah, the Insect Glaive is one of several weapons, such as the Lance, the Switch Axe, and the Sword and Shield, which I think players will, if you played the OBT version,
The Sword and Shield I didn't have that much of an issue
you're
with.
going to notice maybe the biggest
Switch Axe I did.
Like we've made the most adjustments to those weapons in particular, although we have made adjustments to all the weapons. So I'd like to take the chance to go through a few of those details with you.
I just wish they had changed the wound thing.
操中根については
And with multiplayer.
まずは動画を見ていただければと思います。
So if we can run the video we've prepared of the Insect Glaive, let's take a look at that first.
Okay, right. Concentration time, guys. Insect Glaive. Does it take you back off? Yeah, back to normal. Back to normal. Takes you back off. You can even keep doing it. That was 3 times he was able to get himself to take off again. The hit stop on that move looks
はい、
fantastic.
このようにまず
Vaulting Dance
同調薬
Strength Aerial
が、追
Action.
加されております。
Players can combo into a variety of aerial actions after vaulting. Aerial attack power increased by 2 levels each time you vault. So, adding the vaulting dance, which is the move, the spinning move, the press and circle or B whilst you're in the air to cause yourself to go back up in the air again. They've added an offset effect, at the beginning of the descending slash, which means that the Insect Glaive has a counter. It can offset attack. Orange extract now also negates knockback while the weapon is drawn. Red, white, and orange extract effect now also mitigates wind pressure, tremors, and roars.
The vaulting dance.
Damn, they got
It's one of the iconic moves of that particular weapon. So yeah, I'm happy to confirm that vaulting dance makes its return in the full version of Monster Hunter Wilds.
so the vaulting dance. The more you stay in the air, the stronger you
吸収切りの
get.
初めのところに、相殺効果がついていたりだとか、エキスを取った時の、効果などが OBT から、追加で対応を行っていまして、これらによって、立ち回りの幅がすごく広がっています。
As you can see on the slide, we've got a few other adjustments being made. One of them
Yeah,
is
the
the
offset,
descending
the descending slash has a
an
counter.
offset effect added at the beginning of that move. And we also have additional effects happening with the different extracts that you have during the course of the action. So those are going to improve the feel of the Insect Glaive too.
Yeah, those are really
あの
nice changes.
その吸収切りのため
I
の
was
部
already enjoying the
分
Insect
の
Glaive.
操作っていうのが、
But
押
this
しづらいという
just-
ご意見も、すごく多くいただいておりました。
One thing I wanted to cover additionally was that some players said that the controls for charging up the descending thrust were a little bit too difficult, or they felt tricky to operate in the heat of the hunt.
僕自身も
I didn't have an issue with charging them up, but I understand what they mean. I don't think many people realize that you could charge it up whilst performing other moves.
ね、この貯めることによる遊びの広がりっていうのも確かにあるなというふうにも感じていることから、あとそれを回収するコストとももろもろ天秤にかけていった結果、今回はその試操作に関しては残すことに、しました。
I took that feedback on board, and I tried out in the game myself, and I did somewhat agree that it could be tricky to pull that off right in the middle of things, but we always have to weigh up when we're going to make these kind of modifications to a weapon what the implications are for its playstyle as a whole. We have to balance the idea of changing that with how it might play the way it is. So after many discussions with the team, I actually decided to keep this one the way it is. I think that it is one of the trickier things to pull off, but it's sort of a bit of a rewarding bit of depth to the gameplay of the Insect Glaive. If you can get used to that and learn when to use the charge, it can really deepen your play style. So that's something that we're not adjusting this time, although we did hear your voices on that.
Okay, they're not adjusting the charge. I didn't have an issue
メディア
with
プ
it.
レビューツアーに、来られた、総中根使いのライターの方はですね、
I guess it's a reward
触っていただい
for players
て
who
最高の
master
総
it.
中根になってるじゃないかってすごく喜んで、くれましたので、ぜひ製品版の方、お待ちいただければと思います。
Yeah, there was actually one journalist who was in Osaka for our preview last month, and
Ah, Lubu, you'll be a master in no
this is
time.
the best insect glaive ever in Monster Hunter history.
Best insect glaive in monster history.
On board and look forward to the full version of the weapon in the final version. Of the
Yeah, they don't want it to make it too OP and too easy. I agree. So having a little bit of complexity in performing some of its moves is probably a good idea.
And members of the community who doubted that it was something that could even be added back into the game. So it's so great to see it back and to see it in action.
Yeah, I think this is going to make Insect Glaive mainstay. This news makes the weapon look very tantalizing and very powerful.
Lance would be seeing some significant changes. So can you take us through those?
Lance time!
先にプレビューの段階で確かにランスも大きく大幅に調整を入れる予定になっているっていうふうに徳田さんがコメントして
Sticky
たと
ammo
思うんで
free.
す
There's
け
no...
ど、その詳細
I
に
wonder
つ
if
いて
they've
教え
changed
ても
stuff
らえ
with
ま
the
すでしょ
sticky
うか。
ammo, actually. Because I know some Bogan
ランス
mains were
は
a little bit
多様なガードと、
not
細やかな移
completely
動
sold on
行
some
動
of
を
the
駆使
changes.
していて、過去シリーズよりもモンスターに張り付いていける選択肢を増やしたかったんですけれども、逆にそのモンスターの行動を見て待つ選択肢っていうのがなくなった結果、かえって行動の選択肢が狭まって、同じ行動を繰り返してしまうような、ちょっと単調なプレーにつながってしまう部分っていうのがありました。
Yeah, the Lance was something where the effects of the adjustments we made were somewhat on the unintentional side. So I
Ooh,
wanted
okay.
to add a variety of different options.
Counter
for
charge
guarding and,
now allows
more
guarding while
fine
charging
footwork
and can be
movement
chained
options.
into
And
with moves.
the
Okay,
idea
good.
was to
Power
increase the
guard will
total
now
things at
charge
higher
to
level
higher
when
levels
they're
more
using the
quickly.
Lance. But
Fair
I
enough.
think the unintentional effect of that was that
Perfect guard and power
players
guard
weren't
can
able
be
to do
chained into new
the
moves.
classic Lance
What
move
these
of
new
being
moves
able to,
are, they don't
wait
say.
it out and see what the monster is going to do next and then respond to that in kind. And I think that we ultimately ended up, unfortunately, narrowing the options available, and some players even went so far as to say that the Lance action felt monotonous because ultimately, with the tools available, they still ended up repeating the same actions over and over again.
Yeah, the Lance
大
was
きな変
the
更
Lance
点
was
としまし
efficient
て
though.
は、過
even
去
if it
作
did
のカウン
feel
タ
a
ー
little
好
bit
き
dull
を、
at times.
ガード中のためカウンターとして、復活させました。
So,
Oh, what did
in
you say, Dan?
response to that,
Which
one thing that I've done is take the counter thrust move, which was a move that was available in past games with the Lance, and sort of resurrected that in a new form as what we're now calling the charge counter. And that's something that you can use while guarding as well.
Okay.
これによってカウンターで待つ、選択肢を作りつつ、さらに大きなモンスターの攻撃に対しては、ガードからパワーガードの方に派生していって、受けた攻撃によってため段階が変わる、新アクションっていうのも、足していってますので、そうしたものも含めた反撃の選択肢というのを取れるように、しています。
So the addition of this move, as well as the other adjustments that we've made, some of which you can see here, which includes a new move that can be chained into from both Perfect Guard and Power Guard, means I think Lance players will appreciate the ability to read the monster's movements.
Okay, Lubu.
You can choose your counter attack style, and you can even do a Power Guard that will now charge even more quickly or to higher levels if you successfully defend against more powerful monster attacks. So that sort of wait, read, and counter style of the Lance, I think is going to be getting much better than you might have experienced in the open beta.
その他混乱だったり、
To be honest, with these changes to the Lance, they all seem good, but I think getting our hands on the Lance itself will confirm if these changes make the weapon feel better or not. I think just seeing it in writing is not quite... I need to feel it. I need to feel it. I can't just... Unlike the Insect Glaive, reading it doesn't translate. I need some visual kind of learning, shall we say.
There's also another variety of adjustments that we've made to the Lance in conjunction with Mr. Fujioka, the executive director and art director, who, as you guys know, is a Lance main, so he takes the Lance very seriously.
I'm glad they consulted a
I
Lance
worked
main.
together with him on these, so I wanted to expand the range of what you can do based on past titles. That has included actually removing some moves that you tended to chain into only on accident, and it would kind of cause confusion and mess up your combos. So I've sort of refined the moveset a little bit in those ways, while at the same time speeding up the cancellation timing of guard dashes that are chained into during combos. So I think that these changes, if you trust me and Mr. Fujioka, are going to make the lads feel better than ever.
はい、動画の方もお持ちしたので、ご覧ください。
That's what. Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I've got a video for this too, so if we can run
Hey,
that,
visual
then you
learning
can see
time.
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And there we have it. Lance getting straight to the point, as always. So hopefully our Lance
It looks
streams out
nice
there,
and
that's got a
solid.
smile on your face. And for those of you that have never tried the weapon before, hopefully that's, sparked a bit of interest for you to go check it out come February. But now to move on from the Lance, let's talk about the Switch Axe, which
Right, I'm interested on this one.
has been made much stronger than it was in the open beta test. Takura-san,
Good.
can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
The Switch Axe, I really struggled to enjoy. The offset attack, it felt too not worth your time. And anyway, various adjustments have been made so that switching to sword mode after building up the axe mode gauge feels more satisfying. Okay, good. Parameter improvements made to various moves, including the full release slash. Okie dokie. And knock back is now negated when using the full release slash.
Yeah, so with the Switch Axe, of course, the basic loop of charging up the axe mode and then releasing in the sword mode is the same. That's kind of what people expect from the weapon, but I understand from feedback that some players thought it was too difficult to get the axe mode charged up, and that was something that I wanted to alleviate, so that difficulty has been adjusted. At the same time, the sword mode has been adjusted to be this feeling more powerful and more responsive to match that gauge consumption.
特にフルリリーススラッシュは、手応えも威力も、最終派生型に見合った性能に、
Yeah, the Switch Axe I played through Monster Hunter World for the first time with, so I got a soft spot for
In
it.
particular, that should be feeling a lot better now is the full release slash. It's been improved both in terms of its power output and its feeling, and it just feels like a much more appropriate finisher move in terms of how great it feels to pull off.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like a lackluster finisher when compared to the zero-sum discharge.
を上げたりだとか、集中弱点攻撃の後付けを短くするなど、使いづらかったコードを少しずつ調整していって、全体的な遊び良さというのを向上させています。
There were also some moves that the feedback from the player base was that they were a little bit too difficult to use. So using the counter rising slash in sword mode is something that's been made more usable, and I've also looked to shorten the animation lock period after using a focus strike with this weapon, so hopefully those things make it feel more usable.
The axe counter is my main issue, but they haven't mentioned much about it. But the sword counter...
For this one too, so let's take a look.
Anyway, visual learning time. Okay, sword counter. That's the full release move.
Yeah,
Okay.
the changes to Switch Axe are looking really great. As somebody who really likes the new moveset in Monster Hunter Wilds, these tweaks just take it to the next level. So I'm really excited about that, and maybe I'll switch to the Switch Axe. Sorry. Well, next up we've got Sword and Shield. Jono, I know this is very near and dear to your heart as your main. Tokuda-san, can you take
Sword
us
and
through
Shield
all
time.
the tweaks here?
はい、次にご存知のように、ジョノが
They still don't, to be honest, the insect glaive changes still feel the most impactful. I hope that makes the insect glaive feel better, but anyway, sword and shield time. Rise and slash can now be performed while guarding. Okay, good. Parameter improvements to various attacks, especially normal attacks and perfect rush.
Yeah, so for the Sword and Shield, one thing we heard your voice very clearly on was that the loss of the ability to use Rising Slash while guarding was being majorly felt. So that's back, and you can now perform that move while guarding again.
また
They've also improved the responsiveness to the mobile chop and side slash combos, as well as the guard slash and perfect rush. Good. And they improved the evasion effectiveness of back, step, and sliding swipe.
滑り込み切りの回避性能を強化するなど、全体的なこの威力とレスポンス手触りを向上をさせています。
There's also various improvements, as you can see on the next couple of points here, being made to the weapons sort of feel and also attack output. So normal attacks and the perfect rush have had their parameters improved. The responsiveness of your sort of more bread and butter mobile combos like the chop and side slash combo have been improved, and same goes for guard slash and perfect rush. And then finally the backstep and the sliding swipe have had their effectiveness when it comes to evasion improved as well. So lots of changes all across the board for Sword and Shield.
I see when they made improvements, they referred to it as either increasing its damage or invincibility
For this
frames.
weapon, so let's run it and see how it looks.
Visual learning time. Sounds chunky.
Oh my goodness. To my fellow Sword and Shield enjoyers, we are truly eating good in Wilds. Those changes look delicious. What can I say? And for those that haven't tried Sword and Shield yet, here's a really good excuse to give it a go. But enough of me gushing about the Sword and Shield, because I could do that for the next hour. You know, there are other weapons too that have had some adjustments, maybe not as extensive as the four we've shown so far, but many have received tweaks. So, Tokuda-san, could you please take us through these at a broader level?
Yeah, the perfect rush combo was shown off in that video just now. Yeah, and lots of soft buffs across the board for a lot of the weapons.
教えてもらえますでしょうか。
はい、先ほどの
Okay, bow. Rebalance the bow to increase attack power and responsiveness of moves such as the normal attacks and arc shots, while toning down the power of its tracer shots. Okay, good. When targeting a monster with focus strike, multiple wounds are now locked onto one by one with a brief delay rather than all at once. Okay, so that's a little bit of a nerf to the bow there.
Yeah, as you said, all the weapons are receiving general wide-ranging adjustments to everything from their skills, their elemental values. I don't want there to be unintentional weapon tiering happening. I want to balance the weapon.
There's got to be
lineup
weapon
so that,
tiering, I'm sorry.
everything has a valid place.
Gaming community tiers stuff, and they always make it a meta.
Playing the full game when it comes out, but going through to completing the game.
Which, don't get me started on the meta arguments.
These balance adjustments need to stand up for many, many hours of gameplay from you guys, and that's the intention with this overall balancing approach I have.
基本的には、各武器種が持つコンセプトとか触り心地が実現できているかっていうのを重要視した調整を行っていまして、強いものを下げるというよりはどちらかというと低いものを上げていきながら、武器種間の格差もできるだけなくしていくような、方向性で、調整しています。
And my general concept is that I want each weapon to feel true to its own unique concept, because each of them has a place in the lineup of 14 weapons. In order to do that, I don't want to lower the high values to make everything meet in the middle. I actually want to raise up the lower values to make the weapons that were feeling less powerful feel more viable and going toe-to-toe with the other weapons in the lineup. So that's kind of my approach.
It's nice that they're buffing rather than nerfing completely nerfing. There are a few nerfs, like with the bow here, but it's not huge nerfs.
そこに対して矢が飛んでいく、機能なんですけど、それと集中弱点攻撃の方にダメージのソースが、かなり偏っていたんですけれども、その部分も、通常攻撃だったりだとか局者のようなものを
Yeah, exactly, T-Wings. Even if everything was balanced, there would still be a tier list. And in that case, it would be personal preference. Which I still stand by that. Sometimes when it comes to meta, you have your own personal preference better.
On the slide here, the bow is a good example of this kind of general adjustment. I think that in the version that you guys would have played in the beta, the damage output was getting pretty biased towards using the tracer shots combined with the focus strike attacks. And this is something that I wanted to adjust. So again, as I said, rather than bringing those down, what I've done is bring up the normal shots and the arc shot power, make those attacks more viable, and at the same time, general responsiveness has been improved across the board for the bow, including transitions and chaining between different attacks. So that makes it feel like a more cohesive, true to the bow concept type weapon.
I like what they've done with the bow here. They've reduced the issues I had with the focus shots it had and being very powerful, and instead they've made its normal attacks and other aspects of it stronger whilst reducing the aspects that were a problem and people were using as a crutch.
One thing to mention is that as of the beta, the focus strike targeting capability was locking onto multiple wounds more or less simultaneously at the same time. And I've rebalanced this now so that whenever you try to lock on to multiple wounds, they'll lock on one at a time with a brief delay in between each one. So that's another balance adjustment that's been made here.
I had an issue with that, with the bow. The bow being able to take all the wounds meant that the other players in the squad never got a chance to do their wound attacks or their focus attacks. That is quite slower. That is quite a slower lock on.
このようにですね、
risk
単なる
reward.
下方修正にならないように、武器の魅力だったりユーザーの選択肢の幅が
But the fact that they buffed the normal attack shouldn't make a difference. Shouldn't make in terms of its overall damage.
Yeah, hopefully when you watch that, you get a sense of what I meant, which was I don't want to just bring the powerful aspects of weapons or the more powerful weapons down to the same level. I want to make adjustments to each weapon to make every single weapon
I agree,
feel like
Dragoon.
a viable choice in the lineup of weapons in Monster Hunter.
As a bow main as well.
Lots to choose from, and everything has its place.
Yeah, I really love that philosophy behind all the balancing changes and the improvements. And I know one weapon that I think we would be remiss if we didn't bring up, and a lot of people are really passionate about, is the hunting horn. Could you talk about some of the changes that the hunting horn is receiving?
狩猟笛は特に多くのユーザーからフィードバックがあった武器だと思うんですけど、こちらの最終的な仕様変更などはいかがでしょうか？
そうですね、狩猟笛の基本的な、メカニクスというか、そういうものについては、ユーザーさんも僕も含めて、結構気に入って、います。なんですけれども、
The hunting horn and the timing, I had a little bit of a hard time getting used to. So we'll see how this ends up.
Hunting horn is a weapon that I myself really enjoy playing, and I think we've heard from lots of players that they find it really fun. It's a very viable main weapon. So actually the adjustments that I want to make for Monster Hunter Wilds based on the beta were about how it felt a bit too strong as a sub-weapon.
That's because everyone used it as a sub-weapon to buff themselves and then switched to the other weapons.
なかったので、そこまで問題にならなかったんですけれども、製品版の方では
That does a disservice to the
が
weapon.
あったりだとか、あとそれらの効果の時間を長くするスキルなどもありましたので、サブ武器としてかなりちょっと強い面が、ありました。
It wasn't too bad in the OBT because being a limited slice of the gameplay, the melodies that were available for the hunting horn only actually went up to attack up S. But when you take that into the full game and you're going all the way up to attack up L, it just meant that the melody effects were too overpowered and it just became too much of an obvious meta choice to have the hunting horn as a backup weapon because of how powerful the parameters were whenever you were buffing not just yourself but your whole party.
でですね、
Yeah, buff yourself with the horn, change back to another weapon, off you go. I hope they're going to wonder if they're going to change the. Yeah, I hope they change it a little bit. If I'm honest, they're done, because at the moment in the beta, I didn't really feel the need to swap between weapons. I feel it might be a little bit of a wasted mechanic.
サポート武器としての価値は残しつつもバランスを整える
Because,
ような
I
形
mean,
にしてい
how
ます
many of you guys really utilized it and swapped
Yeah,
often?
with a view to rebalancing that, what I've actually done is the melody effects when you strengthen yourself, when you buff yourself, have actually been increased, been made more powerful. But conversely, the effect on others has been decreased to rebalance its focus. The other thing that has changed is that when you change back from the hunting horn to the other weapon that you have with you, the amount of time that the melody effect was being applied and for an extended amount of time, that skill has been adjusted so that when you change back to your other weapon, it's not going to hang around for as long whenever you've got the buff applied to other players. So I think that those balances still make it a valuable choice as a support weapon, but it just makes it less OP, to use the community phrase.
Hopefully that's music.
Not quite as what you said, Dragoon, there, but close enough. The melody doesn't last as long when you switch back to your other weapon.
The tunes they bring to the hunt. And kind of moving on from that a little bit, and moving away.
Wait, they do have a combat lock on, I believe.
We're moving further into weapons here. We've got some juicy details to go into. Earlier on in the stream, you mentioned to Guru-san in the final version that balance will be adjusted to take into the account the existence of skills that were not included in the open beta test. So that does mean that in Monster Hunter Wilds, the skill building system has changed a lot from what we know, right?
先ほどOBT に入ってなかったようなスキルの存在なども考慮して製品版の全コンテンツを通してバランスを検討されているとのことでしたが、確かにワイルズでスキルの仕組み自体は大きく変わっていると思うんですけど、そちらについてちょっと詳細に説明してもらえますでしょうか。
はい、OBT を受けた、調整内容とちょっと話が、変わりますけれども、インタビューなど以外ではちょっとこれまできちんと説明できていなかった部分でもありますので、ご紹介させていただきます。
Yeah, this is something that isn't strictly speaking a OBT feedback response, but it's something that I think I've mentioned a few times in interviews that have gone out with the previews, but I wanted to take the chance on today's stream just to kind of really make it clear exactly what the implications of this new system are. So let's take a look at an example with this screenshot.
今まではその防具のパーツに装備のスキルが、ついていましたけれども、
No decoration plus 4 grind. I think the decoration grind has been confirmed it's coming back. Whether there'll be that plus 4 attack decoration, I don't know. It'll probably be just they may change the tiers of the decorations, making them more common.
発生している部分がありました。
So on previous titles, the place where you put equipment skills has always been the armor rather than the weapon, right? So that meant if you needed to equip skills that were sort of specific to a certain weapon or category of weapons, there was sort of an inevitability about certain skills and certain armor gear being the kind of only.
They've got skills on the weapons now.
Going to go out with that particular weapon equipped, and that kind of limited, I think, the players' freedom to choose what exactly it was they wanted to wear.
今作ではメイン武器とサブ武器を切り替えられるように、なっていますので、これまでの仕組み、スキルの仕組みですと武器を切り替えた時に、せっかくのスキルビルドが無駄になってしまう場面が、出てきます。なので、今作では例えば攻撃とかガード性能のような、武器に紐づくようなスキルは武器側に、つく形にして、例えば早食い。
They've announced a lot of changes and updates, performance updates, weapon balances and stuff like that. We're going into juicy details here rather than just showing off new stuff.
The fact that in Monster Hunter Wilds you can bring a main weapon and a sub weapon was that your carefully chosen skill build on your armor would be completely wasted and be for naught whenever you change weapon. Suddenly all of those skills that you'd equipped on the armor might not be relevant depending on what the second weapon was. So
you have mighty
the
bow
system now has changed
decoration
so that skills that
on
are
your
mostly
armor
tied to weapon functions such as attack boost and guard are now attached to the weapons themselves directly. And then other more supplementary skills such as speed eating are still attached to armor. And by separating out where the skills go, it means that your skill build will actually make a lot more sense even as you change weapons throughout the hunt.
Yeah, so this is a pretty significant change to how players are going to be able to build their sets, and hopefully it'll result in, lots of variety in terms of the different weapons people use and different armor sets. But one question I had is, well, what happens when weapons are upgraded? Do these skills disappear, or what happens with them?
Yeah, honestly, the Tenderizer Vitality decoration grind for me was really bad. But yeah, this is good news that certain key skills are tied to weapons now rather than armor. Which should mean that when you change weapons, say you change from the bow to the greatsword, you won't be wasting skills on your armor. Say if you had to put bow charge plus on your armor and you change, you shouldn't waste that skill now, as it will be on your bow.
Might have had if it wasn't super clear how the system works, so it's a good chance to be very clear about it, skills will never disappear from a weapon whenever you upgrade it within the same weapon tree.
今こう画面に映っているのが、ホープブレード2で、砥石高速化のスキルが、ついているかと思います。
So as you can see here on this screenshot, the Hope Blade 2 in the equipment info panel, you can see that it's got the speed sharpening equipment skill on it.
これを強化、したスライドに変えていただきますと、
When you upgrade that, it changes to a different weapon, and I think we have a second screenshot prepared, which we can switch to now.
It's got
ホ
critical
ープブレ
eye
ード3 に
and
強化した
speed.
形になると、砥石高速化はのスキルはついたまま、見切りの、スキルが新たに追加されてい
Oh,
ま
that's
す。
a very good question, Erden.
As you can
I
see,
hope the
this
elemental
screenshot
damage is
of
on the
Hope Blade
weapons.
3, the equipment skill speed sharpening has been retained, and we've got an
Surely that
additional
has to
skill
be the
called
case.
Critical Eye, which has been included with the upgraded weapon.
ですので、その、スキル自体はなくならずに、別のものがついたり強化されたりしていきながら、武器派生を、強化していくことができます。
So as you can see, the skills didn't reduce, and some can be added, and also the level of existing skills might be increased the more you upgrade the weapon within the tree.
また後半の、派生の武器になるほどですね、武器の方にもスロットが空いていて、そこにこう装飾品を入れることによって、自分好みのこうスキルビルドを楽しむことも、可能になります。
Also, in addition to these built-in equipment skills that are baked into each level of the weapon, there are, of course, decoration slots.
Oh, yeah.
So
It doesn't have any
the further
decoration
you go
slots
down the
per
weapon
se
tree,
here.
the more decoration slots will open up on the weapon at the higher levels, and that's going to let you create your own skill build to your own liking and combine the pre-built ones with the ones you add later using decorations.
I think that is really, really exciting. I mean, having the skills set this way means that, you know, as we mentioned earlier, that there's going to be far less instances of there being a particular weapon that is the best for, you know, multiple situations. And when you're building your sets, you know, your weapon will directly contribute to that. And also, you know, you can switch between your weapons without it, you know, neutering your armor set that you've kind of been meticulously building. So I'm really, really excited to see.
It's good that we can now
how they use it.
we can utilize two specialized builds or a specialized build and one general, and
So that's
yeah.
really, really cool. And now, you know, let's move on a bit. Let's have a little chat about a few other things that we've seen in the beta and things like that. And there's one thing that kind of really stood out to Joe and I, and for anyone in the community who frequents the different Monster Hunter subreddits that are out there. And one of them was the most beautiful collage. It was a collage of many hunters using shielded weapons, pulling the biggest frowns as they guarded against the wrath of monsters, kind of like a kind of face. Now, you know, what's the situation with that? What's going on there, Takura-san?
今どのまで変顔してると思う。
I don't frequent the Monster Hunter subreddit. I'm sorry, I don't really go on Reddit. I've heard it's I've heard things about it. Although apparently someone wrote about me on one of the subreddits at one point, which I was really sort of like kind of low-key kind of proud of.
はい、変顔にしたかったわけじゃなくて、武器を
I don't know if any of you frequent the subreddit or not, but
あそこまで決まった顔になってるとはちょっと想定外なところがありましたので、直します。
Yeah, thank you for your very demonstrative version of the face. My intention was to show that when someone grabs tight onto a shield to guard an attack, that they would sort of be, you know, grimacing or have an intensity to the expression, but the way it turned out wasn't really what I
that's what
wanted
they were
it to
on
be.
about.
So we're going to change that in the final game and have it look a little bit less weird and a little bit more cool and intense.
it was a visual thing.
Well, I'm a little bit sad that it's being changed because it was extremely funny. Totally understand that, you know, we want our hunters to be immersed in the world, and that's one of those things that might take you right out of it. So I want to switch gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about multiplayer. We did hear some feedback from players that they were a little bit confused on the different ways to get into multiplayer and just you know, just weren't quite sure how to play with their friends easily. So
test
Takura-san, can you
beta, so the
touch just a
multiplayer
little
was-
bit on
I'm sure the multiplayer is going to be more
multiplayer
streamlined.
and matching up with friends and how that's going to work in the full game?
変顔がなくなること自体は個人的には少し寂しい思いもあるんですけど、確かにかっこいい顔にしてもらえるんだったら製品版を楽しみにしますということです。次の質問になりますが、オープンベータで多くのプレイヤーからちょっとマルチプレイの仕様について
Reddit's a coin flip to what you get. That's that's one way of describing it.
この仕様についてどう使ったらいいか、ちょっと使いづらく感じた人もいたと思うんですけど、この辺について、製品版の仕様や、使い方のアドバイスを込みでアドバイスをお願いします。
はい、まず、
I know during the open beta there was it was hard to get sessions where solo sessions or it wasn't clear how to get them. Eventually you could get them.
So firstly, in the full game, there will be multiplayer features that weren't included in the open beta test, which I think will make it easier to get together with just the people you want to play with. So one of those will be private lobbies, which, as the name implies,
Let's
they'll
go,
have
private
a lobby
lobbies.
ID, and only those people who you've shared the ID with can join in. We also see the return of the squad system, and squad lobbies will be available only to your squad members, and that's going to make it so that you can, have your friends get together really easily.
あとですね、OBT ではリンクパーティーや環境リンクといった機能が、入っていたんですけれども、これらは複数のフィールドが、ある状態で、各メンバーの環境が変化していく中で、有効に機能するようなものなので、一つのフィールドで変化の幅が少ない OBT だとちょっと分かりにくい機能に、なっていました。製品版の方では、リリース後にしかるべきタイミングで、情報を、発信していく予定になります。
On the flip side of that, there were features that were in the OBT that I think maybe didn't really, players didn't have a chance to really fully understand them, given the fact that the OBT was such a limited slice of the game. What I'm talking about is the link parties, and also in particular the environmental link feature. These are designed for the full game, where across multiple different maps, each of which has varying weather conditions across different phases. If you imagine getting online, you and Jono and Joe want to play together with me, and we're all in different areas and we're not synchronized at all, so choosing which monster to hunt or whatever else might be difficult. The environmental link means we can kind of settle on a state for the game to be in and have that synchronized and make our gameplay go a lot smoother. With the OBT, you only had the windward plains and a limited amount of changeable extreme weather conditions, and I think a lot of players were a bit sort of having a question mark about what the functionality of these features were, but trust me, it'll make a lot more sense when the full game comes out, and we'll provide more details on how to use those effectively when the time comes.
Yeah, I thought the link system was
No,
just
I
like
appreciate
a
the details.
system.
I mean, it's really cool to hear that, you'll be able to have a lot more control over the multiplayer experience you want. So if you do want to play with just your pals, you can. If you want to play with your squad, or if you want to play with anyone in the world who's also playing, you can. So it's great to know that those options are going to be there for our community. And obviously, talking about multiplayer, Monster Hunter Wilds takes the multiplayer experience in Monster Hunter to a whole new level, the biggest it's ever been, with 100 player lobbies and camps that can hold up to 16 hunters at a time, which is fantastic. The kind of interactions we're all going to be able to have and that we had in the OBT. Obviously, but with that though, there comes a lot of chatter, a lot of stickers. And if someone's being a bit cheeky, they can, spam in stickers and excitement and things like that. So for those of us that, might want a slightly more relaxed public multiplayer experience around, chat and stickers, what's the situation there going forward?
マルチプレイの設定面といえばですけど、多くのプレイヤーから寄せてもらっているフィードバックとしては、
As he said, 16 players in camps, which means that we aren't going to get a gathering hub per se, as every camp is going to be its own gathering hub. The gathering hub is going to be the default.
ちょっとスパムのように入ってきてしまう。
At least I assume that's going to be the case.
しまっている。
It sounds like it's going to be the
フィー
case.
ドバックが多かったんですけど、こちらについて何か対策を考えられたりしますでしょうか。
はい、まず製品版の方では、特定の人の、発言を、自分の画面でミュートに、指定することが、できます。
Yeah, firstly, in the full game, if one particular person is blowing up in the lobby chat, you'll be able to mute them. So that's a very targeted feature you'll be able to make use of.
またですね、クエストだったり、リンクパーティーを組んだときには、チャットチャンネルが自動で切り替わって、ロビーメンバーのチャット通知がされなくなるなど、いくつか対策を、入れていっています。
Also, we're going to adjust how the chat channels work whenever you do something like start a quest or a link party. What's going to happen is that the chat will automatically switch over to just the participants of that quest or that party, and you'll stop being notified of the general lobby chatter. And I think that will improve the feeling of
better
whenever you start
adjustments
something with
for
just your
chat.
friends or other players, that it limits the range of who you're going to hear stuff from.
Yeah, a dedicated gathering hub might be nice, to be honest. Like just like a party area almost.
Something that I got a few messages about, and I watched a few streams during the open beta, and that was definitely something that people would have liked to adjust. So it's great to hear that's happening. Something that I was really pleasantly surprised by when booting up the open beta were all the options for the different HUD display to have it bigger, to adjust it whether you're sitting at a TV or you're sitting at a desk. But even with that, I think there are additional areas where that could be improved. So what are our plans in the full game to adjust the HUD even further?
ハードの表示についてですけど、
More accessibility
OBT 段階でもすでにテレビ向けの大きさやデスク向けの大きさの設定があったりして、かなり細かく入ってたと思うんですけど、さらに製品版に向けてハードの表示のオプションを追加しようと思っているのでしょうか。
そうですね。まず、オプション以前にですね、そもそもの表示の部分で、武器の、固有の表示だったりだとか、一部の要素の大きさなど、見やすさに関わる調整っていうのは、入れていって、より見やすく、しています。
Well, firstly, even before we get into the idea of options you can change, I am looking at feedback on the size of the specific weapon unique UI elements that each weapon has. And we're going to review those and make sure that by the time the game comes out that the relative sizes of all those elements is going to make sense for everyone.
To
be honest, it would be nice if you can almost manually scale them yourself.
As for additional UI options, we're considering if we can add any in future post-launch updates, so stay tuned on that.
Okay, so it's not. It doesn't sound like the UI is a priority. They seem quite happy with it.
Thank you so much for answering all these questions so far, Tokuda-san. And we are getting near the end of the pre-launch community update stream. So I have one small question that you may have seen amongst the community, and one that Joe and I see everywhere. And let's just between us. We'll keep it between us. Is there going to be another open beta test before launch?
こちらからの最後の質問になるんですけど、
Okay, here we go. Question,
毎
moment
日の
of
よう
truth.
にコミュニティマネージャーの方の DM や
Will there be another
入
beta?
ってる質問なので、どうしても聞かせてほしいんですが、ここだけの話、ぶっちゃけ OBT はまた次回遊べる。
Watch it be later today or tomorrow or just after Christmas?
完全に領土さんとかが答えるような案件だと思うんですけども、特別にお答えすると、検討自体は、しています。ですがもし追加の OBT を実施するとしてもですね、基本的には前回の OBT を遊べなかった方だったりだとか、その追加の、項目テストが、主な目的となりますので、今日お話したような、内容っていうのは基本的に製品版とか Day1 パッチ向けの対応になっていますので、
Mention something about Day1 patch?
されない、形になります。ちょっとその点はご了承いただきたい
That
です。
doesn't sound good.
And that's the kind of question where I'm used to leaving out to Ryozo, who'd be here with us, and he could answer that kind of high-level decision. But since you've asked, I will address that. We are considering if we will bring back the open beta test. But
maybe.
I would need to make clear that that would purely be essentially another chance for players who missed it the first time around to get a chance to try the game again, and we might maybe be able to add a couple of additional options here or there for people to try out. It wouldn't be something where all the various detailed weapon adjustments we've discussed today would be included. Those are strictly being worked on the basis of including them in the full game, including the day one patch. So again, it's something we haven't ruled out yet, is bringing back the open beta test, but please wait for the full game to come out in order to experience all the wonderful changes we've discussed today. And hopefully you can understand why we've had to separate those two considerations.
All right, yeah, well, we'll have to stay tuned.
So
for
if
the
the beta comes back,
future
it will be
news.
pretty much what we experienced
We have covered so much
the other
I think
month.
This has been quite a long stream already. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to discuss before we wrap things up?
今日は結構長時間にかけていろんな詳細について教えてもらえたのですごく良かったですが、逆に徳田さんの方からジョノたちからの質問でカバーできていないポイントがあれば、この機会にどうぞ教えてください。
はい、この前のメディアプレビューツアーのインタビューでちょっと一つ、言い間違いをしたところがありますので訂正させていただきたいです。
Yeah, there's actually something, it's not so much new information, but I want to have the chance to clarify and maybe make up for a misstatement I might have made during some of the press interviews that we had about the game. So that's something I'd like to discuss now.
サポートハンターが
Okay,
傷を壊さないオプションがあるというふうに言って
So the changes they announced are still being worked on and won't be included in a theoretical second bit. Yes, that's the case.
In at least one interview, I said that there would be an option in the game where you could set it so that the support hunters who can join you via the SOS flare would not go and break wounds for you, that they'd leave that for you. And that's something that actually won't be in the game on day one.
Okay.
発売日の仕様としては、プレイヤーが傷をつけてからしばらくの間、壊さないんですけど、1分以上ある程度経つとですね、集中弱点攻撃を使用して傷を破壊することが、発生するようになります。
So the way it's going to work at launch is that if you inflict a wound, but you, for whatever reason, you're not really proactively breaking that wound with your own focus strike, and a certain amount of time passes, maybe a minute or more passes, and you still haven't gone for it, that's the point at which the support hunters will start to look to use a focus strike to break the wound for you.
Oh, okay, okay.
サポートハンターの、キャラクターによって壊しやすいだったり壊しにくいだったり、あと乗りやすい乗りにくいだったり、先行玉を使ってくれやすいみたいな、行動特性というのはキャラクターによって異なります。
That's something that's sort of unique to each support hunter's personality, though. Each character has a slightly different approach.
The support hunters are the AI hunters, for anyone who's wondering.
Whether or not they're quicker on the draw with focus strikes or less so, it also applies to other features like how often they might try and mount a monster, whether they find mounting harder, whether they're busting out things like flash pods more often or less often. Those all kind of depend on the character themselves, so it's not something that's going to happen on a strict schedule.
I like
no
that,
matter
that
what.
the AI have different
どの
personalities.
サポートハンターに来てほしいかという指定は、発売時はできないんですけど、タイプトルアップデートでは、検討しております。
So the option that I'm looking to add, perhaps in a title update after launch, is letting players specify which NPC support hunters can join them and which ones they don't want to join them. So that's how I intend to add the ability to control the frequency of that particular feature.
There's gonna be a meta list for your companions.
ディアンパッチだとお供とかサポートハンターが、サインを、送ると自分のところに、来てくれるようになって、ちょっと便利になってます。
Relatedly, one additional feature I wanted to confirm was when you use the signal, this sort of ping that you activate through the menus, the palicos and the support hunters will come to your side during a hunt. So that's just a little quality of life feature that we've added.
Okay, so if you set up a trap, ping them.
Oh, that's really, really cool. And yeah, thank you for the little tidbits of information there. We really appreciate it, Takura-san. And with that, I think we were kind of coming to the end of our pre-launch community update. So we hope you've all enjoyed it. Joe, anything you want to say before we pass over to Takura-san and Patrick?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody out there for sharing their feedback. I know we say a lot that we are listening, and hopefully you guys feel that way after seeing all the updates here. And definitely want to take the chance to thank Takura-san for joining us. This has been super informative, and I know you're super busy, and the team is extremely busy getting the game ready for launch. So we very much appreciate it, and I'd like to toss it over to you for any closing remarks here.
今日は非常に珍しい機会として直
what do you
接
think
いろんな
then?
お話が聞けて
What do you think?
徳田さんには
I think the changes
この発売
and the balance
直前
updates
の
have definitely been a welcome
これ
change.
だけお時間いただいて
I know we
非常に
didn't
感謝
really
して
get
おります
much new news in terms of new monsters or that, but to be honest, this is all sort of kind of important. To be honest, still, even if it's not as
このような直接
exciting.
ユーザーの皆さんに声を届ける機会を作ってくれた、ジョーとジョの、パトリック、またサポートしてくれた皆さんに、感謝、申し上げます。
Firstly, let me take the chance to thank you guys, Jono and Joe, the community managers, as well as Patrick. It's always slightly weird to refer to yourself when you're translating, but let me go with it. Thank you for your support in setting up this opportunity today.
イギリスとアメリカ、日本と、3拠点で時差も大きい中、すごく大変な作業だと思ってますが、ありがとうございました。
Yeah, we're working across 3 time zones here. So I'm in Tokura-san, that is in Japan. Jono and Patrick are in the UK, and Joe is in the US. So it's difficult to coordinate across so many time zones. So thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, 3 time zones.
また
Jesus.
改めまして、OBT に、ご参加いただき、様々なご意見をいただきましたハンターの皆さんに、感謝申し上げます。OBT ではたくさんの声をいただいてからですね、チームの働きだったり製品のクオリティの向上というのは、本当に目覚ましいものがありまして、今もそれが続いています。ご期待いただけるってことがこんなにも力になるんだなってことを、改めて実感しています。
Just another, to repeat my previous sentiments, thank you so much to all the players who took part in the OBT. It's such a valuable opportunity for us to get your feedback and hear your voices, and we've taken that back to the team. It's become great motivation for them to keep working on the game's quality as we reach the final stages of development. And from what I've seen, they're doing great things, and there's some really great eye-opening stuff happening with the game, and we're continuing to work on that. So again, thank you for the opportunity to implement your feedback in the game.
It really is a pleasure. And once again, to echo Joe, thank you to Kuda-san for your time. We know how incredibly busy yourself and the team are. Thank you, Patrick, for translating for us today. It's great to have you with us again after you joined us at Gamescom. And, from all of us here as well, thank you to you, the community, our awesome players. I mean, your feedback from the beta, your patience, your passion, it really is incredible. So thank you so much. And does anyone have any ideas the best way to round this off, Joe?
Yeah, here we go.
We wouldn't dare do a happy hunting across multiple time zones. You'll see the lag, but we should do it. We should try it, right?
All right. Do you want to give us a countdown?
ちょっと最後にどうしてもタイムラグが発生すると思うんですけど、
Jono and Patrick and then Joe. That's how it's going to
行こうぜ
go.
の英語になるハッピーハンティングで最後の掛け声でカウントダウンの後にお願いします。
OK。OK。
I'll do the countdown. All right, ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. Happy hunting! We tried.
Close enough. Here he goes. Yeah.
All right, thank you, everybody. One more.
Well, let's just kind of line a little bit.
OK。
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Happy hunting!
Oh,
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
bless them. Yeah, honestly, the Monster Hunter community has been such a wonderful community to be part of. I mean, yeah, we have our toxic aspects to it and that, but for the most part, it's really been a nice one. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little follow through and thoughts and opinions on the pre-launch community update. They are probably going to end the thing here, if I believe. Yeah, no, obviously, no new news in terms of monsters and stuff like that. But to be honest, the stuff that they did covered was important, even if it wasn't as flashy. The changes to the weapons are definitely needed. But yeah, you have a good day too, and that. Thank you for dropping by. I am going to be wrapping up things now. Every community, no matter how wholesome, has a toxic element to them. Yeah, some more than others, shall we say? Some more than others.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Some more than others. Cough, cough. League of Legends. Where are we? There we go. But yeah, no, I hope you enjoyed the coverage of this. I know we did it on YouTube and not on Twitch, but the news stuff is for YouTube, and the goofy randomness is for Twitch. Although, like I said, I will be streaming on both of them platforms soon enough. Yeah, but no. Anyway, I was going to say, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. I see many of you excited about the Insect Glaive changes, but I know that there's a few of you who are Insect Glaive mains in the chat. But if you're not in the chat, if you're watching this later, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So please leave a comment. Yeah, this is going to be exciting. I cannot wait for February. But I'll bring you more news if there is more Monster Hunter news, like if they do confirm that there is, in fact, a second beta or if not. Yeah. But yes, everyone, I hope you all ingest. What is your just Darcblade on Twitch? If someone has a link to it and want to put it in chat a bit quick. Because normally when I do the open lobbies, they're normally over on the Twitch channel. Is that the link? I don't know if that's a link. I click on it and nothing happens. I can go get it myself. Oh, there you go. Thank you, T-Winks. There you go. that's the Twitch. But yeah. Normally my Twitch, my streams. Oh, hi, Mike. I just heard the follow go off. Are normally on Fridays and Sundays. Although we aren't playing much we aren't playing loads of Monster Hunter at the moment, but that will definitely change. As I mentioned, I don't want to get burnt out on Monster Hunter before Wilds comes out. So yeah. Oh yeah, you are right there, Eden. I think I have the link somewhere else in the description and such as well. So check it out if you want to. There will also be I'll be advertising it more and more as well. The second YouTube channel where there'll either be because I'm trying to move into dual streaming as well. So there's going to be another YouTube channel as well for that stuff. But I'll talk about that more further on down the line in the new year. But anyway, guys, I'm going to peace out because I have some work to do. I have to get on with the Vanguard guide video for Space Marine 2. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed our feedback. I do appreciate you guys joining me, the company you give, and your feedback as well. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the holiday season. Much love, peace out, and I'll see you again soon. I don't have an outro for the YouTube thing. Oh no, the YouTube stream. Oh no. Alright. Good night, everyone. Even though it's the